that black folks are twice as likely as white folks to be stopped and searched for drugs, even though white folks are more likely to have drugs on us on the occasions that we're searched. White folks use drugs and sell drugs at the same or higher rate than black folks and Latinos, and yet it is black folks and Latinos who in any given year make up 85 to 90% of the people who get arrested and incarcerated for a drug offense. See, people of color know that. And if we don't understand when black folks rise up and say Black Lives Matter. Well, what do you mean, black? All lives matter. Yes, sweetheart, I know they do. Yes, they do. And that is a totally irrelevant and unnecessary point to make. You see, you don't have to say all lives matter. We take that for granted. What we've never accepted in this country is that black and brown life matter. You have to proclaim that which is ignored, you see. That's why we have Black History Month right now and not White History Month. We don't have to have the White History Month because we got May and June and July and August. And every other month where we learn about white folks, we don't have to call it that. See how slick that is? That's how white supremacy operates. You don't have to call it White History Month. You just call it history, and literature, and theater, and poetry, and art. You don't have to racialize where it came from.
Why does America have such a large black population, right, of incarcerated, melanated, beautiful black men of African origin? Why? Why? Breaks the family. When you break the family, these men cannot repopulate. They cannot go and impregnate. It breaks down the family structure. That's exactly what they want. Breaks down the mental capacity of the black woman to feel supported, protected, and provided for. Yeah? It breaks down the fabric of that society. That's what incarceration does. It takes away your humanity. It takes away your dignity. It takes away your liberty. And they know this. That's why one white man in a state can get away with smoking weed till the day comes blue and he will never be charged. But another black man will be caught smoking and he'll be given 10 years. Yeah?
This is deep.
It's true. It's absolutely true. And the thing is that it starts with the court system. We can't just talk about the prisons because it's part of a whole judicial system. And if you read a book, oh gosh, Chidwami, When Things Fall Apart, Chidwami, I forgot his surname. It will come back to me, yeah, When Things Fall Apart. If you look at how they went into Africa and created a system, one of the first systems that they bring is the judicial system. Why?
I don't know. Tell me why.
So that they can create laws to control you. So you have to live by their laws. The problem is, we never said, you know, we don't want your laws. Keep your laws. We don't want them. We don't want to be judged by you. We don't want to be ruled by you. We don't want to be controlled by you. Keep your laws. I was free before you come, and I'll be free when you go. Keep your laws. I don't want your immigration. Keep it. I don't want your criminal system. Keep it. We know how to control ourselves. Keep it. We were living before you came. Keep it. I don't need your constraints. I don't need your fake spiritual systems. Keep it. We existed for a millennia before you came. Keep it. But what they done was give us fear. And that's what enslavement and imprisonment and the system is about. And then they use education to enforce it.
Hello guys, welcome to The Real Voicelist. My name is Betty. I need someone to explain this to me because the numbers are not making sense. How is it that Black Americans make up a smaller percentage of the population, but such a large percentage of the prison population?
This is going to be really hard for me to talk about, so bear with me. It's finna get dark in here. We are going to talk about the dark history on why jails were created. In 1863, African American slaves were freed. They thought things were great, but they really just got backstabbed. Now, as you know, in 1861 and 1865, the American Civil War happened. During the Civil War, roughly 179,000 black men fought in the Civil War. They fought in the war because they thought America would look out for them, which ultimately made them worry because now how do we keep these people in control? The government needed a way to create peace, to keep the white people happy, but also take care of the African American citizens that just got freed. Before the 1890s, where they started the Prison Act, jails and prisons tend to look like houses. Some like this. After the American Civil War, the number of U.S. penitentiaries in the South and West spiked. So, who y'all finna put in there? After this, a lot of African Americans were locked up. Their inmates population surpassed 30,000. By 1880s, African Americans became the major inmates. They were backstabbed. You're telling me that they helped fight the war and then they were falsely imprisoned to do more labor? Convicts, who were originally slaves, dug levees, laid railroad tracks, picked cotton, and mined coals for private companies and planters. Mostly false imprisonment or doing more time than they deserved. Innocent man locked up for 37 years. 1944, George Steeny, 14-year-old, electrocuted, and he was innocent. We're still living in this dark history, and Joe Biden played a part in it. Your president signed a crime bill, what was one of the key contributions to mass incarcerations in 1990s, especially hurting blacks and brown Americans. African Americans, they were never really freed. It just was switched. Black people were never given equality. Let's just clear that up. African Americans have been fighting for decades for equality from the government. Everybody be safe out there.
Do you think the issue with cops is a black-white thing or a police?
Without question.
Or a police abusing power thing?
It's both. Remember, when slavery ends in 1865, there are no national incarceration systems. Most states didn't even have a fully functioning prison system. Guess when they created the prison system? In 1865. That's when they gave you the first statewide prison systems. Why? Because we got 4 million black folks we just left out of slavery. They don't have jobs. We're not going to give them any, so that means they got to do what to eat, Envy? Rob and steal. So we're going to create vagrancy laws. If I catch you stealing anything, guess what? That's a felony. I'm going to put you on the chain gang, and you're going to be on the chain gang for 10 years for stealing a lollipop. This is what they did. You could go to jail for not having a job. You could go to jail for being homeless. They made simple, petty offenses major felonies. So that from the beginning of so-called emancipation, the prison system existed for one reason: to remove black men from the society. The jail is a slave ship that sits on land instead of water. But here's the point I need y'all to get. The reason we're struggling so much as a people is because we're not given systematic access to wealth. Let me give you an example. Chinese, Arab, East Indian, they come to America. They can walk into any bank and get a loan. Mm-hmm. Not all of them, but many of them. In fact, some of them don't even have to get a loan from Wells Fargo, Chase Manhattan, or Bank of America, and I'm just using them to make the point. They show up in America with a long line of credit from their native country. They come into the ghetto, open up 10 stores, 5 supermarkets, 3 hotels. Black folks still struggling. And then people look at us and say, you know why you're struggling? Because you're lazy. The Chinese guy over here been here 5 years. The East Indian been here 10 years. The Arab only been here 8 years. He got 5 gas stations. What's your excuse? Let me tell you what our excuse is. We are systematically denied access to wealth. Do you understand? So we can't build that hospital they built. We can open up 10 supermarkets. I can't get 10 gas stations in 3 weeks because you're going to routinely deny me access to wealth. You'll give me a small business loan. And here's the kicker. Let me ask you a question. Why would they give you a loan for a student loan for college? They'll give you a car loan for the car. They'll give you a loan for your house. So you can get a mortgage loan. You can get a student loan. You can get a car loan. But you can't get a business loan. Wait a minute now. The education is going to cost me $100,000. The car is going to be about $70,000. The house is going to be $250,000. Why do you approve that, but you don't approve the business loan, which is probably for half the amount? Because if I finance your empowerment, that disrupts my system of extermination and genocide. You cannot kill a people who you are financially empowering. So we are kept without access to wealth. That's why the hood is full of mom and pop stores. That's why the hood is full of struggling businesses, because America has a policy where you do not empower black people for their own benefit. Any other minority? Yes. Why? Because if they get out of hand, they can be sent home. The black man cannot be sent home. Slavery is older than America. America was born on July 4th, 1776. Slavery in the colonies began on August the 20th, 1619.
At what point do we stop calling that a coincidence? And before anyone says it's just a crime, no. Because when you look deeper, it's not just about who commits crime. It's about who gets policed, who gets charged, and who gets harsher sentences.
At this point, I'm going to accept the stipulation and joint motion to declare that Mr. Andrews is a wrongfully imprisoned, or was a wrongfully imprisoned individual, and that he does have the right to proceed through the Ohio Court of Claims under the statute of the wrongful imprisonment. So, Mr. Andrews, on behalf of the state of Ohio, on behalf of all the citizens, we certainly hope that you can move forward, and that when you pursue this wrongfully imprisoned claim, that although nothing can take back the years that were taken from you, that
where it starts to feel less like individual cases and more like a pattern. Because two people can commit the same offense in the same country, under the same laws, and still walk away with completely different outcomes. That's not random, that's structure. Think about how that even happens in real life. One person gets a warning, another gets arrested, one gets a fine, another gets jail time. And over time, those small differences stack up into completely different life paths. And once you enter that system, everything changes. Job opportunities becomes limited, housing becomes restricted, background checks become a barrier everywhere you go. In some cases, even your right to vote is affected. So it doesn't just punish you in the moment, it follows you for years, sometimes decades. And then people wonder why cycles continue. But it is a cycle, because when someone gets locked out of jobs, education, and housing options, survival becomes harder. And when survival becomes harder, the choices people have also shrink. And here's the part people don't like to talk about: over-policing in certain neighborhoods, surveillance that isn't equal, policies that hit some communities harder than others before anything even happens. So the system isn't just reacting to crime, it's shaping who gets caught in it in the first place. Even things like sentencing differences matter. Studies have shown that similar cases don't always lead to similar outcomes. And when that happens repeatedly over time, it doesn't look like isolated unfairness anymore. It starts to look like a pattern that feels itself. So when you stop back and look at the numbers again, they start to make sense. Not because it's fair, but because it's consistent. And what really gets me is how normal this has become. Like people just accept it. Like it's just the way things are. Think about that for a second. When something that impacts millions of lives becomes normal, people stop questioning it. But systems don't just happen. They are built, maintained, and adjusted over time. Policies change, laws evolve, enforcement shifts, but the outcomes often stay familiar. So the real question is, if the outcome keeps being the same year after year, is the system failing, or is it doing exactly what it was designed to do? And depending on how you answer that, the entire conversation changes. So guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been The Real Watch List. Please kindly consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't. For those who have, thank you so much, guys.